Hello everyone. Let's just start with a very interesting topic today, that is how to perform business intelligence with big data solutions. This video is not going to focus on how to perform analytics, but this is more about how we can connect different dots of big data issues and how we can solve them using Azure big data solutions. Since Azure has released Synapse, which is a big data solution from Microsoft, what Azure does is it ingests data from some database through some link and connection. You can understand this architecture where Azure Synapse sits in the middle, and it creates a layer of analytics of the entire database. Now this database is replicated into the Azure Synapse where this cannot be a relational database. Instead, Azure Synapse accepts dedicated SQL pools which we need to provide as creating this architecture. There are two servers in this architecture. One is our relation database there, and I'll just show you everything. This is the overview of the project I'm giving, and since most of the companies have their databases in SQL in some cloud, or it could be Redshift, it could be Azure Data SQL Storage, Azure MySQL Storage, BigQuery, it could be Snowflake. Since now they cannot just start doing and providing the analytics on top of that, so they need to be have a different layer of storage where the entire database can be connected and can perform a high robust performance analytics. If we even go through the definition of Azure Synapse, is a distributed system designed to perform analytics on a large data. It supports massive parallel processing MPP, which is nothing but let me show you, which is nothing but our dedicated SQL pool. Since they support massively parallel processing, it means there is a leader node and there are multiple clusters or nodes within that leader node, or you can say control node. They all run in together as a processing unit to handle the computation together in parallel. We're not going to talk about what is serverless SQL pool here, but we are much focused on the entire solution. Okay, let's just jump. So for this exercise, I'm going to use this AdventureWorks sample database, which I'm going to provide links to you in case if you require them for your own practice. Now this database is provided from the Microsoft and it is ready to available for download and for your own operations of analytics. I'm going to download this AdventureWorks data warehouse 2019.bak. It's a database file, and we can restore this database into our SQL Server Management Studio, and then we can deploy that database to our Azure SQL storage. I'll show you. Let's just download this database. There are some prerequisites for this project. That one, you need to install this SQL Server Management Studio. I'll provide direct links. Even if you don't need direct links, you can go through this amazing guide. They have provided links and how can you restore this database into AdventureWorks. Please follow this guide because this is not about restoring a database or data warehouse into SQL Server Management Studio. Let's just assume you had downloaded the data, and now we are going to restore this data. You open your system databases, right click on that, restore databases, database. We need to go to device. We need to select our file by clicking on the add button here, and this is the database. This is the directory of the MySQL server, and we are in the backup folder. I'll show you here. So what I have done is simply just downloading this file from downloads and copy and paste this file into this folder, which is backup of MySQL server. Once you have this file here, it is ready to restore. You click on it, you click OK, and then you click OK. It will start restoring. I'm not going to do that. In case if you're stuck at some point, please let me know. I would be able to glad to help. Let me just close this windows for you. When you restore this file, it looks something like this. It will start appearing in your panel, which is your SQL Server Student Management Studio. And in tables, you will have your tables. There are plenty of tables. We will go through them in another video. but simply you can have, like, let's say this is the fact table. If I go and select the 1,000 top rows, then it would look something like this. It's a retail data, which is a very famous data set from the Microsoft. You can develop your analytics skill set on top of this data, and you can build something which you like. Let me show you which what I have built here. This is the dashboard which is created in Power BI. Since I can also create this dashboard just using this dataset directly connected to SQL Server Management Studio, but the intent of this video is to let you know how we can do the same using Azure Synapse. As in organization, and when you've been working as a business analyst or a data analyst or some data engineer, you're supposed to handle a division of analytics, not data engineers, but certainly data analysts and business intelligence. Folks in this domain needs to develop this understanding, and this video can help them a lot. Whoever is beginning with this journey. All right. Once you have this in your database, you can right click on it. We go to task. We go to redeploy, which is because I have already deployed this on my Azure server. So I need to provide the connection link here. Now this is the part where I need you guys to focus the max. You need to change the server. Right now it is connected with my localhost server, which is my SQL server. But in case if I need to deploy this database, this data warehouse of AdventureWorks retail company to my Azure, and let's just go to my Azure panel here. So let me just go to home once to show you how it looks like. This is my Azure panel where I have a bunch of services. We'll just talk about the main services which we are going to use. So this, I do have two resource groups. What is resource group here? They kind of act as a parent to multiple resources. I have created one resource group which is big data. You can just click on this create and create your resource group. If we go to resource group big data, we can see there are plenty of services which are running inside. Let's just click on this database. Okay, it's just opening. Stay with me. So you can see this is my Azure SQL database. You can create this database by just going into the just searching Azure SQL database. So you see there is Azure SQL database. You just need to go there and create, and you can create for your own. You need to provide with subscription. You are on to resource group, which I have already talked about, and you need to provide a database name. As of now, we don't want to use any SQL pool, so let's just select no here, and this is a development. So let's just select development. You need to review and create. Once you create this, you will see something. Let me just go back. You will see something like this. It will. I have provided my name as AdventureWorks 2019. The purpose of creating this database, because we are going to deploy our Azure, our AdventureWorks, which is sitting right in our SQL Server Menu Studio. We are going to deploy that. So we were at our server. Now you need to provide that server name, which is MySQL server name.net. How I get this? You need to go to panel. You will see the server name. I just go there and click copy. Come here again, paste. It's same because I have already provided that. When you are creating your database in Azure, you will be creating a username and a password. I'll be doing the same, and I'm providing my password here. When I click on connect, let's just see. Oh yeah, it's connected now. So you can see right now I'm deploying my target connection, which is my Azure SQL database. And this is a settings of my Azure SQL database deployment. I have kept this as basics, but you can change according to your need. I'll suggest if you are just starting with this, just keep it like this only. It won't harm you. I'm just canceling it because this process will run. And once this process is finished, you will see in the query editor, you will see, let me just log in first. I'll need to provide the same password and username here as well. I can also connect with my Azure Active Directory, which is my primary email, which I have already set during creating this database. So let me just log in. So you can see these tables are now reflecting here. What you can do is you can see some bunch of other tables. These change feed tables are created by Azure during the change feed management, which is just refreshing from the source. And these are plenty of tables here. Since let's just look at the architecture once again, so we understand that better. So this is what we are doing right now. So let us talk about what is Azure Synapse Link for SQL. Now we have our data in Azure SQL database, but we want to do our analytics in Azure Synapse SQL. So what we are going to do, we are going to create first Azure Synapse, which is another service from the uh, Azure. I'm closing the tabs which are not required anymore, so it helps me understand what I'm doing right now in a better way. I'll just close this and just okay. So if you see, there is one more Synapse workspace here. Let me just group this by type. This will help us understand much more better here, right? Now you see in the Synapse, okay, let's just start. It's a dedicated SQL tool, which I'll talk later. This is what we have created right now. This is what we have another created right now. It gets created on top of that when you deploy your database into this database. When you deploy your SQL Server Management Tool database to this Azure SQL database, it's a connection, right? And this is storage account under which this all activities are happening. This is Synapse Workspace. So you need to create a Synapse Workspace. How can you do that? By doing the same thing again. Just search Synapse Azure Analytics, click on it. When you click on it, a window something like this, or a very default window where you don't have any workspace, you won't see this workspace because this is already I have created. You need to create this. How you can do that? By clicking on the create button. You need to provide again the resource group. In case I'm choosing the big data here, you need to provide a managed resource group, which is going to manage this Synapse workspace. And this will come under big data, right? Which is your parent resource group. You need to provide a workspace name. Let's say my Synapse workspace business intelligence. Okay, it doesn't support uh, capital letters, so I'll just keep this like this. And you need to provide from subscription. I do have a subscription, which is Azure subscription one. It's not selecting. Why it's not selecting? Okay, this is the account name for my this workspace. Like I have kept this DL storage Gen 2 account name. This is generally telling me about that I'm going to use this data lake storage Gen 2 account. uh, let's just talk about this in another video because it's itself another topic. You just give it some name of your own uh, understanding. Give it a name which you understand that this is my account name. Let's see, I have given like ACNT NAME in the last, so I understand this is my account name. And there is another file system name. So FS, like stage command temp data. This is just uh, a name that I have given. You don't need to give a name something like this. You can give something which you understand. And when you review and create, it will create a Synapse workspace for you. And it takes like 7 to 8 minutes to for Azure to create a workspace for you. I'll just go back because I do already have this Synapse workspace. So it will look something like this. It will show you that this is under this resource group. It will have some firewall settings. In case if you want to see how it look like, you need to tick this Azure services file resources to access this workspace. You need to tick this Azure Synapse link because eventually you are going to connect your Azure Synapse to Azure SQL database using a link which is called Azure Synapse link. So you need to bypass that. The firewalls. So I'm clicking this. I have clicked this already. Let's go back to overview. You can see there are plenty of IDs and different servers. What we need is this one. This is like this one. This will we need once we have our data, which is Azure SQL storage into Azure Synapse. Let me show you a architecture once here that will help you understand. I'm going to provide these links in the description or in the comment section. You can check them. Okay, where's that architecture I was thinking to show you? Okay, this one. So see what we have right now. This is the entire architecture of what we are studying. This is what we have created, Azure SQL database, and we have deployed our SQL Server Management Studio data to this database. Now that file, which has extension .bak, has its data into this Azure SQL database after the deployment in the beginning. Then we have something called orchestra, which is how this big data files, big data connects and have a streamlined flow with the services of analytics. So understand this as a middle layer. How I understand this, I can tell you this is always a source layer, a middle layer, and a application layer. Application layer is something which we see. Middle layer is something that works in the middle, where all the computation, storage, everything happens. And we have a data source layer, which is nothing but Azure SQL database. I'm again going to provide this link. for your reference so you can understand better. I'm also going to close this, but after a while. So yeah, this is what I wanted to show you. This is just understand this black database icons as our Azure SQL database, and we are going to create a Synapse SQL link between a staging dedicated pool because Azure Synapse needs a dedicated pool provide a analytics services. Okay, let me show you how it happens. I'll go and close this. Okay, so let me just go back, cancel. I'll start again to show you. So this is how Azure Synapse Studio look like. How you can open this? When you create your workspace, you click on Open Synapse Studio. Click here, open. It will open for you. Once it is open, you can go to Develop. Click on the plus icon. Not in the develop in the integration, right? Because we are integrating. You can see I already have this connection, but I'm going to show you how you can going to create yours. So you click on link connection. You can also do copy data tool, but this is just one time. Or you can schedule this like every timeline you want this to run. But what I have done is link a connection. It is going to be a direct connection with my Azure SQL database, which I have already created, which is, let me show you, which is there, right? Home, let's just go to home. How I check everything, what's like, I go to my resource group, I go to my main resource group, and I see there are plenty of services. Let me just group them so for a better understanding. Now you can see this is my database. These are just some data about it, and this is my database, right? So what we are going to do, we are going to flow what data it has to our Synapse. You can also create you can also click here Azure Synapse link, and it will do the same thing which we are doing here, which is like sitting in the Synapse, Azure Synapse Studio, and click on this. We go to our integrate, this one, click on plus, click on link connection. You see, it is asking us from where you want your source type. It will show me two things, Azure SQL, Azure SQL database. Why is it showing me two as of now? Because I have only two in my resource group. In case if you have something like Azure MySQL database, it will also going to show here as a data source. So I'm going to select Azure SQL database. This is okay. What is this Azure SQL database link services? This is a link which I have created. In case if you don't have any, because you're going to do this for the very first time, just click on new. When you click on new, you're going to provide some credentials from Azure. This is about your data source details. So select your subscriptions, select your server. My server is my Azure SQL server, which is connected to my database. And once you select your SQL server, this will start popping up AdventureWorks 2019, which we already deployed, and it asks us how you're going to authenticate. I always use SQL authentication. I provide my username, I provide my password. Let me do that very fast, very quickly, and I click on create. Let's just check once. See, connection successful. So once you have a successful connection, just create. You give this a name. For me, I have given this name is, let's just discard this thing, right? I have already created this with Azure SQL Database Link Services. Once I select this, it will start showing me all the tables, right? Because we have provided the credentials already. It just takes time to load. See, all the tables are there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to select all the tables. We will look into tables later in later videos, in some other uh, tutorial or something. But let's just focus how we are going to deploy. So now you understand. We need to have something. We were here, right? Okay. So if you look at this thing, this is what we have already created. This is also we have already created Azure Synapse. But in between, Azure is expecting a dedicated SQL pool because Azure runs on top of SQL pools, which provides a streamlined flow with the data. And there, let me just go back. There, if you don't have any target pools, because you are going to be do this for the very first time, you're going to create a target pool, which is nothing but a dedicated SQL pool, right? Which we were talking about. So you give a name, you give some, like I'll just keep this to basic, my dedicated pool or SQL pool for Azure Synapse, because Azure Synapse is going to use this pool, which will throw my Azure SQL data into this pool. So this blog is about Azure Synapse Analytics. Okay, you can go through that because it's just some theory which I also read for my understanding, and I suggest you the same. And okay, so we are at storage block. This is the ingestion for the Azure Synapse. At this moment, this ingestion is this dedicated SQL pool. We will review and create. Once you create this, it will start showing you something like this. Discard in data, we go to data and SQL database there, right? Because this is the Azure dedicated SQL pool where you see, if I click on tab tables here, I'll see the same data sets, uh, my tables here. I can do my query, I can create my views. You can see I have created my two views here, which is custom view and fact view. I have written some scripts which I'm going to provide in case if you need them. This is a fact view which will give like transition details, where on top of that you can create your BI solutions. If you want to see what is in this fact view, I need to have another SQL script. I'll just go there, select star from fact view. I need to change this to master. Okay, let's just be this masters only. Invalid object. Okay, let's just do this way, which is a better way. I'll just select top 100. Right, this is the same table cursed view because I haven't provided the database, my schema, and my view. So I have created this view to help me with my metrics which I need to have in my dashboard. If you see this view, but it is nothing but a join of multiple tables, and from multiple tables I'm getting important columns or data. I'm getting sales order number, product name, product subcategory, order quantity, date, and so on. There are so many things which is necessary for any uh, analytics, or when you're creating something out of nothing. So when you're going to have this, you will see some data like this, and once you have this data in your Azure Synapse, what you can do is, when you go back to your Azure SQL workspace, Azure workspace, which is just opening once again, you need, okay, it's already opened in this tab. So you need to have this endpoint. It will create automatically for you when you create a workspace, Azure workspace in the beginning. You need to copy this, and you need to go to your Power BI, and you need to have get data. What kind of data it is? Get data to get started. Let's just see. Okay, we go to Azure. We go to Azure Synapse Analytics database. So this is not a database, but a server of the Azure Synapse. So we select this one, Azure Synapse Analytics SQL. You can also create the same dashboard just using Azure SQL database. You need to provide the server of Azure SQL database, which we also provided to the SQL Server Management Studio for deployment. But now our data is deployed into SQL database, and as well in it's flowing into the Azure Synapse Analytics SQL, which is just a pipeline for data warehousing. Because you cannot just start doing analytics in your production data. You need to have something where you can do much more and do not leverage the cost. So you click on it, it will open for you. You provide the server name, you provide the database name. The database name is going to be the uh, let me just open again. Let me close this. So this is going to be database name. For me, I have a very difficult database name, so you need to copy this thing like this or something. I need to know how I copied in the beginning. Okay, I just might have typed this. So Azure SQL pool linked with Azure SQL DB. It's my dedicated pool database which I'm going to provide here in there and as a database, right? And you click on OK, it will create a connection for you. And all these tables which you can see right now, see, I have created a fact view. If I click on my fact view, this is the data, and which is very same. Let me show you. How can I show you? This is customer view. Okay, we can check customer view as well. Any kind of view we can cross check with our data. In customer view, this is no profile. Some customer has a birth, age, and something something. So we go to customer view. Okay, it's might be not in the same order. I need to have in the same order. So you can see here it is showing me in the chronicle order of ascending. So I might just click on customer key, click on ascending. It might show me the same thing. Okay, still not the same thing. I might need to order them to have the same data, but it's the same data. It's the very same data. If you want, I can do that for you. What I just need to do, I just need to order by my customer key, and it's just showing me 100. That's it. I hope this will work. Let's just run again. Let's just see if we are having the same data, right? Okay, now I have ordered my data. You can see the first row is John Yang, which is very same here. So when you have your data in your Power BI, you can have this report. Once you publish this, okay, why we are doing this? We can just simply just connect our Azure SQL database to our Power BI and create this dashboards, right? But that's not how it happens. It might happen for the small scale companies where they don't have different data warehouse for analytics purpose or business intelligence cycle. But uh, as a good practice, they should have different a chunk of data which is their data warehouse, which will be used for analytics and multiple things. They can use that for their machine learning model. They can use that for there's some kind of campaigns to understand how everything's working, and at the same time they are not making any kind of impact on the performance of the production data. So that's it in this video. Once you publish this, let me just show you one more thing. If you go to develop, it will start a Power BI section here in the develop. This is SQL scripts which you will write. Let's just ignore them. Let's just, for instance, this is SQL script 2. It will start showing me here. And in Power BI Workspace, in Power BI reports, you will have this same report, and you can use this, right? You can share with stakeholders. You can use this for publishing. You can do much more than that. And what's the best thing? It's in the clouds. It's in the real time. The moment your production data gets changed up in the next cycle of schedule, or in case of a direct connection, the data will replicate into the SQL pool, and this report will change. And if you want to just see how this report looks like, let's see if I'm checking for Canada. Okay, if there is some full screen button I'm looking at, okay, this is fine. If I click on Canada, if I click on France, Germany, so this is a responsive data set dashboard. You can create multiple dashboards. I'm going to create another video, a guide, where I can show you how you can create this dashboard out of the dataset which you have, which you can connect from either Azure SQL database or from Azure Synapse server or from SQL Server Management Studio, in case if you don't want to purchase a subscription for Azure Synapse. So we can do the same thing with simply with Azure SQL Management Studio, but this is about how you can create an entire business intelligence solution from scratch. I hope you like it. I hope it helps you understand the enterprise solution which uh, Azure is providing with Azure Synapse Analytics. This is very amazing. This is going to be in future for a while now, and I'll just see you. In case if you have any doubts or something which you still don't understand, you can let me know. I'll provide my email link. I'll provide my LinkedIn credentials, LinkedIn profile link. You can connect to me. We can chat over this thing. This will help me understand, like like from a different perspective, and eventually we'll learn together. That's it. Thanks. I'll provide one. Okay, I have created a presentation for you. I didn't realize I have to show you this as well. All right. Animation slideshow from beginning. So this is a snippet of the dashboard. So this is what I was talking about. We have our MySQL database. There we are flowing this database into some storage, which is nothing but Azure SQL dedicated pool, which runs on top of MPP, that is massive parallel processing, which helps to compute multiple processes at once. And then we have Azure Synapse Analytics, which is another unit of from Azure as a service, which can have this Azure Synapse, Azure SQL dedicated tool as an ingestion, and can provide you visualization and multiple services as well. This is just a screenshots of what I have shown you already. I'll see you next time. I guess this has gotten way long.